Hello lovelies, Rotting Jack Fox here. I'm gonna start another new what if. It's what if Deku was SCP-2295, aka known as the Bear with a Heart of Patchwork. And this is known as the mainly friendly SCP as the photo is shown. This SCP mainly wants to do good in the world, as disclaimer. And I'm gonna just get started because I don't want to waste anyone's time, and I will really like this what if because I saw no one else done it, and I thought, you know what, this bear needs to show some love. This bear needs love. I'm gonna give it to him. Okay, so basically we're gonna take part in the SCP universe first, and thank you to I don't want to butcher his name, but I know it's Samuel something. And that guy was a very good YouTuber and started the teleporting door thing. So, SCP-2295, I'm gonna call it Deku, but everyone should know that I mainly mean SCP-2295. So basically, Deku is located into an area, and the mainly things that this bear could do is heal anything with stuffing or fabric in any close proximity. It will come to life with a person that has serious injuries. It will make scissors, needles, sewing stuff from its mouth, and if there's nothing of use around him, which is fabric or stuffing, he will take himself apart to fix the person. It will take 1 week until that stuffing is fixed, but the fabric is not like the stuffing, so fabric is mainly left with SCP-2295 for healing itself until the next person comes in with a bunch of injuries. Basically, Deku is able to heal a lot of injuries, but except one. Injury to the brain, he cannot fix. Any injury to the brain. Any other injury, he could fix. But any other, mainly the one to the brain, he cannot fix at all. Any other ones, he could fix. So Deku is in an SCP lab, being tested out until the person who was testing him left the room, left the door open to the cabinet where he is located, as he gets this urge to get up and felt like something pulling him to this door. Sorry if you hear background noises. He walked towards the door with scissors and needles in hand and fabric, and he thinks, yeah, I'm gonna have to take something with me. So he makes a satchel and puts everything in it, his sewing equipment, all the fabric, the stuffing, everything in that satchel. As he starts walking towards the door with scissors and a sewing needle in hand, because he could not fit that inside the satchel. Everything else could fit in the satchel perfectly. So all the fabric, all the stuffing, wabam, into this. So Deku is walking towards the door, and he opens it by jumping onto the handlebar and opening it up. As he walks through, as he feels an urge to go to somewhere. As we cut to, and this is when a spirit sees this doll that is moving around with scissors and needles. If you could not guess who the spirit is, I'm gonna give you a hint. The spirit mainly has green hair and freckles on his face. If you have guessed Deku, then you are correct. In this what if, Deku has died from a car crash, causing him his life and his mother several injuries. As that is very sad, Inko has basically got into an accident because of her husband. Basically, Inko was in an abusive relationship and had Izuku, and for fear that she will lose Izuku to her husband, she fled with a 4-year-old, 4 to 5 year old Deku in a car speeding very quickly. People like police and heroes were called, thinking that it was a chase, and until they see it got into a car crash, and a woman stepped out with a baby holding it until they both collapsed. The mother made it, but the baby did not. I call it baby, but Deku is a kid. As they asked why was she driving so fast, and she explained everything that happened to her, all the mental and physical abuse to her, in fear that she would lose her baby to her husband. She drove away, not knowing how fast she was going. She ended up crashing into someone, which caused her arm to completely... Inko did survive with some injuries, but a giant injury that caused her was the loss of her arm. One of her arms. So basically, Inko has one arm left and has lost her child. So Inko has mourning grief as her husband was taken away to jail for the physical and mental abuse, and Inko has gone into therapy. As she did get a new job and everything, got into an apartment with the help of her friend Mitsuki. As Deku's spirit wanders around and just floats and sees this bear with a heart on it. And sorry to hear noises in the background. Basically, Deku's spirit enters the doll as it tries to morph with it, as the doll is trying to fight back on whatever is happening, as he realizes it's a spirit of a child, as he lets it have half of the control. As Deku and the spirit and the bear decide to make a friendship with each other, saying, "Okay, I will help Hero." Deku wanted to be a hero when he was older, and the bear decided, "I will help you with that dream, as long as you let me help other people." And Deku said, "That's what heroes do. I want to help other people." And they agree on that, and ta-da, they are best friends. Can you guys stop making noise, please? Okay, so Deku and SCP-2295 walked to a nearest hospital to where an unconscious boy with red spiky hair, kind of spiky, was unconscious with several burn marks on his body. As SCP-2295 took off the satchel, and this is at nighttime. So all I explained about Deku and Inko happened the day beforehand. And if you figured out, this is Toya Todoroki. And so the SCP worked on Toya, mainly fixing his arms and legs, but not his face, because he did not have enough fabric, or that he saw that the face did not have enough, as a lot of injuries than others parts of him, mainly his legs and his arms. So he thought, yeah, that's enough, and left a note where to Deku's mom's location is, basically to where Inko lives. Bada bing, bada boom. The next day, Toya wakes up and runs away from home, seeing the note left on a bear. The thing is, Deku stayed the night there with the note in hand, saying, okay. Deku basically went with Dabi to Inko's house and shows her the note. And the thing is, with SCP, it made itself kind of looking like Deku, having the same freckles and a floof of hair. Well, what looks like hair. It's just fluff, the fur or something. As she invites him in, and Dabi does explain, but she does think that this is a kind of a lie, as the bear kind of moves itself towards Inko and does fix her arm correctly, because the surgery that Inko had lost her arm was pretty sloppish and did not help the body. So Inko is healed, and Deku does move on to Toga and Shigaraki, as he did lure them to Inko's place and show them kindness, and Inko did show them kindness as well, and they realize that Inko has no arm, because she's wearing prosthetic arm, so people could think, oh, she has both arms. But the thing is, Inko does have other scars, and she does remove her prosthetic arm. And I'm gonna skip a few weeks later. Deku's like walking around with the satchel on. He did find like fabric and stuffing, and he did repaired himself because he did remove some of himself to fix Dabi and a little bit of other people. As I don't know if the SCP does have like a weakness or anything. I am on the SCP website. Hold on, I will have to come back to you guys. Okay, I could not find any weakness to it, and that means Deku will be overpowered with the healing as well as the life. Basically, I'm gonna give the SCP two abilities. Basically, its normal ability and what it says, as well as Deku's ability, since Deku was born with a quirk called Life. I'm gonna call it that, but you guys could think of a better name. Basically, Deku can get in. Basically, Deku does remove energy from himself to give it to someone else as a technical boost. Basically, it's helping hand from Pokemon from Eevee. But he has to have his arm placing on them to help them out. So Deku is like a very strong person. He just needed to train the quirk if he was still alive, but he was not, which is pretty sad. Okay, so I'm gonna skip a few years. Dabi, Toga, and Shigaraki is still living with Inko. All for One wanted to get Shigaraki on board to the League of Villains side, but couldn't find him at all and was furious because he couldn't find Shigaraki. And if you guys don't know, Deku is still living in the house with Dabi, Toga, Inko, and Shigaraki. But Deku does go out in night when everyone in the house is asleep with his stuff and looks around for other people to help out. Basically, there has been reports of people waking up at night in a hospital with like patchwork all over with a bear with stitch marks saying get well soon next to them as they show the bear on the screen. And Inko and everyone in the household that I said, I'm not gonna repeat myself again, jeez, that's gonna be way too many names, looked on and they see Deku on the screen and like, oh shit, he might have gotten out. At some point they did have to kind of lock him up, basically having him chained to something for him to not leave. And when they ask for his name, he does say Izuku Midoriya, the Patchwork Hero, as that kind of name kind of shocks Inko because she thinks, oh, her baby died and this thing is just mocking my son's name, and asks for another name if they want to become a hero. As they erase Izuku Midoriya and decides to use Katsuki's nickname that he gives Deku in canon and puts Deku the Patchwork Hero. As people think, ain't Deku like a word for like saying, oh, you're weak, you can't do anything right? As Deku does kind of take this as a small offense, but doesn't take it fully. Oh dear lord, I'm putting this way too long, I'm sorry guys.